All right. Welcome to one-shot qualifying for the Chinese Grand Prix for the SRL League Formula One 2017 season. I believe this is round 4. We've got one driver out on the out lap. Widowmaker just left the pits. And we got a couple other guys heading out now as well. Widowmaker's on his out lap. KB Killer's out on his out lap as well. Widowmaker rocking the Sauber this year. Dion's on an out lap. Alexito's on an out lap. Things are going to start heating up here in a minute. 10 minutes to play here in the one-shot qualifying. Widowmaker trying to put some heat into those tires on the long backstretch here at China. Getting a little close to the edge there. Here we go, folks. Out of the last corner, Widowmaker is going to start a hot lap. Down the front stretch. DRS open down into the first corner. Ooh, goes a little wide into turn 1. Tight turn 2, locks up the right front a little bit. Comes out of the corner. He's hustling the car as we speak. Ooh, another lockup. He's really pushing it on this hot lap. Go on board for a hot second. He's cooking around this corner. Ooh, goes wide a little bit, almost off. That was cutting it close. Far down into this series of turns. Back on the gas. He's out onto the back straight. He's got the DRS open. Hard on the brakes at the end of the straightaway. Ooh, a little bit of a lockup. Oh, and he slides the tail end out a little bit coming out of the UE. He comes across the line with a 135. Check out some of the other players here. Jump on board with Keybiller. Oh, he was wide too on that. Comes out of the last corner. He's pushing it. He's going to cross the line. He's going to take first position with a 133, 2 seconds faster than Widowmaker. Check in on Alexito in the Red Bull. He's running the Ultra Softs. Or is that the Super Soft? My apologies. Down the backstretch, DRS open. Alexito looking to put in a hot lap as well. See if he can top the 133.8 left by Killer D's. KB Killer. Alexito with a 140. Gonna need more than that to cut it. Squad's Viper currently with the second best time of the 134. Gonna take a look at Sandro in the Scuderia Ferrari. Sandro hasn't put in a time yet. 6 minutes to play in the qualifying session. Sandro's car looking really smooth coming around these corners. Sandro coming out of the corner now. Out onto the backstretch, opens the DRS. Hard on the brakes, you can hear him downshifting. These 8-speed gearboxes, you gotta go down 6 gears. I remember that's all the gears they had in Formula 1 years ago. And Sandro is into the pits, aborts his hot lap. Take a look at Sam here in the Haas. He's got the Ferrari power behind him. We just left Sandro, who's rocking the Scuderia Ferrari. Now we'll jump on with Sam, who's got the Ferrari power with the Dallara chassis. Look at the heat coming off of the exhaust on that shot. Down the backstretch, DRS open. Sam's got a best time of a 1:35.6 so far. Cuts it a little wide coming out of that corner. And he's going to come across the line. Improves his time to a 1:35.1. That's good enough to put him up in the 4th. KB Killer still has the best time of a 1:33.8. He's 2/10 up over Squad's Viper. Check out KB Killer as he's out on outlap. McLaren, surprisingly, doing very well this year, the two McLarens in the SRL League. And they look to be unstoppable. And judging by KB Killer's time, they're definitely going to be a contender for the race, and obviously on top of the championship, as the two McLarens lead the way in the point standings. So KB is off on a hot lap, see if he can improve his time of a 1:33.865. Looks pretty smooth coming through the 1-2 complex. Hop on board real quick. Ooh, hard downshifts, real high in the rev range. And KB is running an absolute perfect race line, it seems like. See one of the Ferraris there. And KB is on a great lap right now. Out onto the backstretch, DRS open, full throttle all the way. Oh, Francis now has put up a 1:33. Oh, Francis puts up a 1:33.799 to take the top spot. There we go. KB is going to come across the line. Let's see what he's got. Oh, it improves his time to a 1:33.5. Takes back first. Pole position over Francis. Unbelievable lap from KB. Francis has made his way back into the pits. Squad's Viper out on the track. See what he's doing here in the Force India. Does not look like he's on a hot lap. At least I certainly hope not with that racing line. Unbelievable times put up by KB and Francis. Squads is third. Bernie Boy just dropped. Sandro puts up a 1:34.7 to take over the fourth spot from Bernie Boy. Take a look at Fasconi, 0525 in the Williams. Williams running Mercedes power this year. Williams running a low downforce. The Mercedes power. 2:30 left to play. And it looks like times are coming in fast. Coney, checkered flag, 1:35, comes in 6th. KB, top of the timesheets. Alexito with a 1:33.6 takes over second from Francis. 1:34 for Squad's Viper. Sandro coming in 5th with a 1:34.728. Bernie Boy with a 1:34.8, just a 10th off of Sandro's time. Sam with a 1:35.1 for 8th. Widowmaker 1:35.1 as well, so 1:83 versus a 1:52, so he's 9th. It looks like we got one guy that didn't put in the time at all. And Fasconi is going to have a 7th place starting spot. So there's your grid, 1 through 11. KB, Alexito, Francis, Squads, Sandro, Bernie Boy, Fasconi, SRL Sam. And we're getting ready for race day. So after an unbelievable qualifying session, we get ready for a race day and get ready to run what you brung. Here we go. Lights out. Green to go. Formation lap starting. KB and the McLaren starting first. Got the Red Bull behind. Take a look at Alexito in the Red Bull. Got Francis Jessica. Squads starting 4th. Next up we have Sandro Dulis starting 5th in the Scuderia Ferrari. Birdie Boy in 6th, and Sandro has been disqualified. Not sure what's going on there. That's interesting. We have 2 cars sitting back at the start-finish. And we'll have to find out what happened to Sandro. Looks like he was TSQ'd for some reason. So we'll take a look here at Fasconi and the Williams, starting 7th. SRL Sam, he's going to be in the Haas. He'll be 8th. Widowmaker in the Sauber, he was the first one to put a time on the board in qualifying. We have Sander, not to be confused with Sandro. And then Dynastar is going to be bringing up the rear of the field. So as they line up, we wait for the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lights go out. And they are off. It's time to bring the action. Oh, look at that. Alexito with a great start. And he's going to take first position from KB as they head into turn 1. Got a couple of cars out wide in the back. And Squads is up to 3rd. And he's going to be, almost had the inside run on KB. The caution flag in Sector 1. Alexito's starting to make a little bit of a gap over KB. And the run for first goes down into the corner. Oh, somebody gets pushed out wide. Looks like it might have been Sandro. KB putting the pressure back on Alexito now. Oh, and he's right on his rear. KB looking around Alexito to find a way by. Oh, and Alexito gets a little hot coming out of the corner. Slides the back end out. KB takes a look, thinks about it. Oh, and a big lock up there. And look at that move. Squads. Oh, but he gets tagged by KB. Around goes Squads. Alexito going to pull out from this. KB, I don't know if he'll have any type of front wing damage after the contact he's made. And Squads is dropping like a rock. Oh, and there's a battle in the back here. For 5th, it looks like. Sam and Dynastar. Just going to call him Dino. KB now going to try and make up the gap to Alexito. Widowmaker has made his way up to 3rd. We're going to take a drop back here and look at their battle going on for 3rd between... Oh, that's Killer B. Oh, I'm sorry. That's Widowmaker there. Widowmaker, Dino, and it looks like Sam and the Haas. The battle for 3rd. You could throw a blanket over these 3 cars. Got another yellow in the Sector 3 section. And it looks like Sam's fallen off of this battle here for 3rd, but Dino hasn't given up the fight. Still tracking Widowmaker pretty good. But Widowmaker's starting to pull a little bit of a gap out on the Ferrari. The Ferrari now trying to close the gap onto the Sauber. Sauber starting to pull a gap out though. It doesn't look like the DRS is enabled yet. The Ferrari closes the gap just a little bit on that backstretch, catching a little bit of draft and a little bit more horsepower than that Sauber, even though the Sauber has Ferrari power. Dino takes that last corner wide. On down to the corner though. Dino just can't close the gap to the Widowmaker. Take a look back further in the pack. We have Bernie Boy rocking the Renault factory team, running 7th. Squads after that mishap with KB has fallen all the way back to the 8th position. Have to try and make up his time through pit strategy, it looks like. Fasconi in the Williams. He's rocking the medium compound tire. He's going to go for a first longer stint, see if he can make up some ground in this first half of the race. Same thing with Francis, who's in the other McLaren. Both rocking the medium tires. And Sandro, all the way in the back, all by his lonesome. 26 seconds behind. We're going to go take a look back up front as KB is now starting to close in the gap to Alexito. He's 4/10 off. And oh, big lockup going into that corner. KB tries to get a run out of the corner and down out of the UE. Here we go out of the last corner. Run down the front stretch. KB's going to have use of his DRS at this point. Can he close the gap going into turn 1? Ooh, little tight. And this 1-2 complex is very tight, very slow. A little bit of a lockup on the right front from Alexito. KB is right there. He's all over the back of Alexito. We're going to follow this battle for a little while here. This seems to be the most action on track. It's for the lead, 2 of the closest cars together. Red Bull trying to hold off the McLaren. Look at that tight line taken by KB. He's there. He can taste it. He can feel it. Runs wide coming out of that corner. Lost a little bit of a time. He thinks about it. Oh, and it's a big lockup. Remember, KB might have some minor wing damage from that earlier incident with Squad's Viper, who coincidentally has moved up to 6th place at this point. Take a look out of the back of McLaren now down to the backstretch. You can see the DRS is open. Oh, and he's on the inside of Alexito. The Red Bull gets a little bit of a better run out of that corner. It's going to be tight coming into this last turn here. Alex is wide. KB's got the DRS advantage. Alex takes the defensive line. KB's going to try and go around the outside. Oh, and he's got it going into the corner. Oh, and a little bit of a slide from Alex, and KB's out in front. Unbelievable move. Another lockup from Alexito. Oh, and he power slides coming out of the corner. Now, if Alexito can stay within a second, he'll get the DRS advantage on the backstretch. KB's going to have to try and pull a little bit of a gap. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's starting to pull away from Alexito. Look at that tight line around the corner as we hop on board. KB riding a very, very tight and smooth line. And he is starting to gap the Red Bull of Alexito, who held on as long as he could. But it turns out KB and his McLaren were too much for him. KB's already gapped the Red Bull by 1.279 seconds. Alexito is out of the DRS range. Look at that, 8th to 2nd, all the way down the freaking gearbox. Alexito hasn't given up yet. He's closed the gap by a 10th. He just needs to recompose himself, gather his bearings, and see if he can make haste to catch the McLaren of KB. KB still looks like he's got too much of a gap over the Red Bull. We're on lap 6 of 20. A little bit of a wiggle by the Red Bull there from Alexito. And KB has now pulled out to a 1.8 second lead over Alexito. Next closest battle on the track looks like it's going to be between Dino and the Widowmaker. Dino's got his gap down to Widow to a 1.2. This will be the battle for third, last podium spot. Look at the heat coming off the exhaust of the Ferrari. Down through the backstretch. He's just outside of DRS range. If he could pick up another 2/10, it would give him that advantage. Cuts that corner real tight. Ooh, takes the last corner very wide. Looks like we got somebody that made a dash into the pits. That was Sander in the Williams. And I think he's the first one to hit pit road. Quick tire stop, and he is back out. Meanwhile, we go back to Dino and Widow. And the Ferrari, the Scuderia Ferrari, trying to catch the Sauber Ferrari. The factory Ferrari team trying to catch a customer car. It looks like we've got a 3-second time penalty for Bernie Boy. Multiple warnings, I'm assuming, for cutting chicanes. So there'll be 3 seconds added to Bernie Boy's final time. Bernie currently running all the way down in 10th. Tight line taken by the Ferrari now as they head out on the backstretch. And he is within 6/10. He can use the DRS as you see the wing slot open. It's going to be close coming down into the end of the backstretch here. Ooh, Widow takes a little bit more of a defensive line. Oh, yes, but Dino's going to try the crossover move. He gets a good run coming out of the corner. He's got the preferred line, and he's going to make the pass on the outside, and it looks like Widow's going to make a dive to the pits. The Sauber is in. Alexito, Widow, Bernie, all on pit road right now. Looks like he's swapping out super softs for softs. Let's see how this shakes things up. Ooh, tight battle now. Widow came out just behind Francis. Francis' tires already warmed up. Widow, though, his tires are going to get up to temp. If he can hang tight there, he'll get that DRS advantage on the backstretch. Oh, but he's off. That was a close call. He hung the left sides out onto the grass. Got a three-way battle here for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Oh, and a big lockup on that left front. Trying to make up some time, but his tire temps weren't quite up yet. Locks up the left front. That's going to leave a flat spot. Take a look out back. Take a look out back of Widow to Sander. Wing slots open. DRS for Sander and Widow. It's going to be close coming down. Oh, and he's going to make the move. He's on the inside. Oh, big lockup from Widow. And he's going to lose out of position as he slides the back end out. Sander takes over 6th position. The three-way battle continues now. Wing slots open again. They head down into turn 1. Everybody's taking a little bit more of a defensive position. Sander in the Williams now. He's going to try and close the gap to the McLaren. Oh, but he goes a little wide, and look at this. Widow's on the outside now. He tries to hang tight. Takes a defensive line. Widow going to try a crossover move. Not going to be able to make that work. Widow's hanging right there. The bobble there from Sander really cost him. And the battle's not over between Widow and Sander. They both are slowly clutching the McLaren as Sander tries to hang tough. Widow hangs the right sides off into the grass. Big power slide coming out of that corner. A little bit of a lockup now going into that corner. And Sander and Widow are going to have DRS out onto the backstretch, and this is going to be tight coming down to the end of this run here. See the wing slots open. Francis tries to take a defensive line. Sander's going to try the outside crossover move. Gets a good run underneath of him. And Sander's going to take over 5th place. Francis drops 1 position. And now the gap back to him. Oh, but look at this. Sander's way wide heading into that last corner. And now the battle is between Francis and Widow. Widow in the Sauber. Oh, and he gets in. Oh, and there's a touch there to the left rear. I'm sorry, to the left front. Widow tries the outside. Now he tries the inside. Francis trying to hold tight. Widow is trying to work his hardest to get around some of these cars. I feel like Widow's got a faster car. He's on the reds, which is a softer tire. He's got more grip. Look at that tight line the McLaren's taking, though. But for whatever reason, Widow just can't work his way around. Oh, in race control, there's a 3-second time penalty now for Francis for multiple warnings on cutting the chicanes and the corners. Oh, and a big lockup. Oh, and they touch. Big lockup for Widowmaker. And he's still trying to work his way around Francis, who just got a 3-second time penalty. He should probably let him go and give the position up, but they're going to drag race down the backstretch. The McLaren Honda versus the Sauber Ferrari. The wing slots open. Sauber, he's going to duck to the inside, and Widow is... Oh, they bang wheels again! Widow's finally going to be clear of Francis after some wheel banging. And a 3-second time penalty from Francis. But now Francis gets the DRS. He's going to have the more speed going into turn 1. Francis running the medium tires, though. He is yet to pit. His tires are going to run way longer than the reds. Oh, and look at this. Oh, and there's contact, and around goes Widow. Sander's going to take off. That's going to leave some wing damage. And it looks like Francis is going to give him the position back. That was the right thing to do. Now it looks like Widow's going to pull away. Francis, I'm sure, has wing damage after that contact, plus the 3-second penalty. Yeah, he's running way wide. He's got wing damage. He's got lost the downforce on the front of the car. He'll have to head to the pits at the end of this lap. Out onto the backstretch. Don't think Francis, he is in DRS range. He's going to gain a little bit of time here, but he's not going to be close enough to try and make the pass. See if he gets a good run out of this Yui. And he does not head to the pits. He's still out on track. So Francis isn't done here with Widow. I'm sure Widow's becoming increasingly aggravated by this. Francis now is actually starting to close the gap on Widow, despite the 3-second time penalty he'll have at the end of the race. He doesn't want to give up the position too easily. And he looks to the inside as they head down into the corner. And he's going to try and get underneath of him. The Sauber's got a little bit of a better line coming out, and he hangs on to the position. Widow pulls out a little bit of a gap over Francis now. This battle just has not given up. Francis refused to go down without a fight. Working lap 12 of 28 now. These medium compound tires will start giving up here in the next couple laps. Francis will have to make a pit stop, probably switch out the front wing. He's got the DRS, he's going to come down, he's going to have a little bit more speed at the end of the straightaway here. Doesn't look like he's close enough to try and make a move on Widow, but there's a little bit of a lock up there from Widow. Comes out of the corner. Francis refusing to go away. Back out on the front stretch. Francis with the wing advantage, DRS open. Tries to keep that line nice and tight, pushes out a little bit wide. Going to cut it back in. He really closes up the gap there. The McLaren chassis really works well in those low-speed corners there through 1 and 2. Hop on board with Widow. You can hear the tires squealing as they try to get traction. This is our closest battle on track right now. Francis and the McLaren, 0.8 of a second behind Widow and the Sauber. They've been beating and banging most of this race. Sander, who was a part of this, is pulled out in front of Widow now. He's got a 1.5 second advantage over Widow. 5-second stop and go penalty now for Dino for corner cutting. Currently Dino is the leader. It looks like he just went into the pits, and that's going to put KB back up in front. Take a look back from Widow to Francis in the McLaren. And that gap is pretty much maintaining. Oh, but look at that. Francis goes into that corner very deep. Oh, but he loses a little bit of traction coming out of the corner. He got a little too throttle happy there. Francis continuing to try and close that gap a little bit. Down on the turn 1-2 complex. And it looks like Dino has completed his pit stop and stop and go penalty, and he's come out in 8th, and he will be a part of this battle now. That should be interesting. The factory Ferrari on fresh tires, the McLaren on very worn medium compound tires, and the Sauber Ferrari, who has had a heck of a day trying to get around traffic and get away from Francis here. Jump back to Dino. Looks like Dino's on the medium compound tire. He's going to finish out this race on those tires as long as he can stay out of trouble. Ooh, goes a very wide, and he's off into the grass. All the time that he made up in the pits, he just lost. Back to Francis in the McLaren now, and it looks like the Sauber of Widowmaker has started to pull out the gap a little bit. We hop on board with Widow down the long backstretch. See if Francis can make up any time going into that corner, and he does make a little bit, keeps that corner nice and tight. Not too tail happy this time. Francis is 1.2 behind. He is out of the DRS range. That's good news for Widow. He should be able to start to pull the gap a little bit off of Francis. Take a look through the field here. We'll switch to the other McLaren, KB Killer Zone. KB has been out in front most of the day. He started on pole position. He had a great battle with Alexito Benet in the beginning of the race, but he has managed to pull out and gap the rest of the field through pit stops, and he has a almost 7-second advantage over second place. Alex Benet in the Red Bull, he started in second, and obviously, like I said, they were having a battle there for first and second. He led the race early on, but couldn't hold off KB, as KB took over and has run away with the race so far. And Squads, he's heading into the pits. He's had an eventful race. He got spun early on, lost a lot of track position. Oh, and that's going to be a 5-second stop and go penalty for speeding into pit lane. So much for Squads trying to make up any time. He was up to third. Take a look at Sander now. Sander, who's had an eventful day, he was involved in that long battle with Widow and Francis. He's rocking the reds on the Williams. And and there's contact between him and the Renault. Oh, and broken suspension for the Renault, and he is off the track. That's going to put Widowmaker up to fourth. And right behind him is Francis and Squads, who's back out on track after his 5-second stop and go penalty and a tire change. And Francis is just like a gnat that won't go away. Relentless fighting in that other McLaren as KB in the one McLaren pulls away from the race. Francis is left in the middle of the pack. He loses out to Squads on fresher tires. So we're going to see now if Squads can close the gap with the lock up there heading into that corner. He can close the gap up to Widowmaker, who's had to race so hard this race to try and get around people, stay away from people. And we've got a 3-second time penalty for Alexito. And here we go, folks, down into the long, long backstretch. Squads is going to take the inside line, and that is going to be an easy pass to get around Widow. Let's see if Widow can fight back. And Squads is off to the races. Looks like Widow headed into the pits. He's had an eventful race. It should be the last pit stop for most of these guys. Sander, Widow, and Francis all into the pits right now. And as we come out, look who it is. It's Widowmaker and Francis running 6th and 7th. Widow cannot escape Francis. Francis ran a very long first stint of this race on medium compound tires. Finally switched him out. Looks like the Sauber is now out onto the Supers. The yellow banded tires. Be interesting to see what Francis is running now. Francis is also running the yellow banded the soft compound tires, not the super softs, just the regular soft compound. And who would that be in the back? Why, it's Sam, SRL Sam, running the Haas Ferrari, and he's on medium compound tires. Not sure if he's made a pit stop yet or not. He runs wide coming out of that corner. So once again, the closest battle on track is between Francis and Widowmaker. The McLaren versus the Sauber, as it has been all day. Oh, and look at the gap he makes up. Francis goes into that corner real deep. Gets a good run out of that last corner down the front stretch, and actually got into DRS range. The slots open into the 1-2 complex. 10 laps to go, and Francis now really putting the heat onto Widow. He's right on the gearbox almost. Hop on board with Francis real quick. Oh, and he really closes the gap. Oh, he's going to try a crossover move. He's going to get under him. No, Widow hangs onto it for now. But Francis is there. Oh, and an interesting line taken by Francis as he tried to get underneath a Widow. They bump again. Francis runs wide coming out of that corner, but kept the throttle down. He's going to try the outside. He's going to try the inside. See Sam bringing up the rear there in 8th. And another 5-second stop-and-go penalty for Sandro Dulis in the factory Ferrari, who has unfortunately been in the back all day. You see the wing slot open as they head down the backstretch. Francis in DRS range, and he's going to take the inside line over Widow, and he's going to get there. See if Widow can cross over. Francis got a good run out of that corner. Oh, but he goes wide coming out of the corner. Widow's going to have the DRS advantage. Widow's not going to be able to make anything happen heading into turn 1, though. They head through the 1-2 complex. Oh, and there's a car sideways. And we've got ourselves a caution, sector 1, 2, and 3. Not sure what car that was around that was sideways. It looked like a Williams. It could have been Sander. Looks like Sander and Fascione. Sander is... Looks like he was the one that was sideways, and Fascione is not going to finish this race. They are in the pits. Well, at least Sandro won't finish dead last in 11th. It looks like Sander and Fascione are both done for the day. We head back up front to check on KB as he is still pulling away from the pack. He's got a 9-second lead over Alex Zito in the Red Bull. Alex Zito has been holding on to second for most of the day. Jump back to third, and you have Squads in the Force India. Squads, again, had an eventful day. Got spun early, dropped all the way back to 8th, fought his way back up. And fought his way back up to 3rd. Take a look at Dino in the other factory Ferrari, running 4th. Not so much an eventful day. It's been a pretty solid run. And then obviously we go back to Francis, and it looks like Francis has finally made it around Widow and is actually now pulling out the gap to Widowmaker, who tried to hang on as long as he could. And he just lost it going in that corner and goes wide. Take a look at Sam, SRL Sam in the Haas. Oh, and Squads, unfortunately, says he had to leave the session. Squads is not going to finish this race either. He was having such a good run up in the third. So that's going to move everybody up another spot, and SRL Sam now is going to have 6. And Sandro, in the other Ferrari, running 9th now, just put up the fastest lap. So Squads is gone. We'll take a look at Bernie Boy here in the factory Ferrari. He's had a couple of, he's had a stop and go penalty. Or no, he had 3 seconds added to his time. So with Squads out, that changes up the running order a little bit. And with less than 7 laps to go, as long as there's no big mishaps, this is probably going to be your finishing order. KB still way out in front, 9 seconds over Alexito Benet. He's run a very solid, smooth race. He started on pole, had the fastest lap in qualifying yesterday. Alexito tried to put up a fight in the beginning and led the race for a couple of laps, but ultimately could not hold off KB. Dino, with the loss of Squads from 3rd, picks up the final podium position. But Dino is 33 seconds behind 2nd place car of Alexito. Back from that, you're going to find yourself Francis, who everybody knows by now. Francis and Widowmaker had an unbelievable battle for mid-pack positions most of this race. Looks like the McLaren has definitely worked. Oh, but he runs wide. He runs very wide into the turn 1 complex now, and that's going to let Widowmaker close the gap. You see Widowmaker there coming through the same complex. Francis just lost a lot of time. Ran very wide into the turn 1 complex. Wasn't enough for Widowmaker to close the gap to battle him for position, but definitely closed the gap nonetheless. So the fight might not be over between these two. Widowmaker, Francis, they've been the stars of the race. That's where the most of the action's been all day. SRL Sam has run a solid race, and luckily, thanks to process of elimination from 3 drivers, he's moved his way up to 7th. And Sandro, who has put in the fastest lap so far, was disqualified early on, managed to start the race. And then you have Bernie Boy in the factory Renault as he heads through the turn 1-2 complex. Head back up front now to check on KB. And we'll hop on board with KB to see the smooth line that he's running. He heads out onto the backstretch. Great shot here. You can see the controls on the steering wheel. You can see he's in 8th gear. He's going to drop all the way down to 2nd gear at the end of this straight. Hard on the brakes. Smooth transition back onto the throttle. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. very little steering input put in by KB, and that is why he's been the fastest car all day. That is why he's got a 9.5-second lead. And that is why he is probably going to walk away with another win. Goes a little wide into the corner, cuts it back. Listen to those high rev downshifts. Haven't seen anybody downshift at that high of the rev range since Art and Senna. Very impressive. Looks like we have a 3-second time penalty to be added on to Dino's final time. Probably will not affect his position. 3 seconds added onto his time right now, he'd still have the last podium position. As we still ride along here with KB in the McLaren Honda, who's been leading this race for quite some time now. Down through the long, long backstretch. And down from 8th to 2nd. Down 2 gears, back out onto the front stretch. And that is a lap of the China circuit, Formula 1. Take a look back at Alex Zito, who's now 10 seconds behind after that blistering lap from KB. Ooh, and it looks like the front end's pushing just a little bit on that Red Bull. A little bit of a lockup heading in and out of that complex. Looks like we've got some cautions in sectors 2 and 3. Now, what is going on here? These are the 2 factory Ferraris. That is not a fight for position. That is Dino that you're looking at there. He's running 3rd. Sandro is running in 7th. He's a minute and 13 seconds behind the next closest car. Jump back to Widowmaker. Widowmaker, I think, has been everybody's probably favorite driver of the day. Had a heck of a battle going with a lot of the drivers early on. Sander, who has unfortunately not been able to finish the race. He had a battle with him. He fought long and hard with Francis. And looks like at some point, Widow made his way back around Francis for the 5th position. Looks like Sam SRL, or SRL Sam, just came in, swap out tires. He went a very long time on those mediums. He's finally come in to switch tires. Puts on the super softs. He's going to go and run out some quick laps here to finish this race. Less than 3 laps to go. And again, Sandro, this is the other factory Ferrari. He is not racing for position. Sandro running 8th. Out of 8 cars, unfortunately. Unfortunately, there are no close battles on the track as of right now. Let's take a look back at the front at KB. Another 3-second time penalty for Francis to be tacked on to his finishing time. And it looks like Widow just made it around Bernie Boy to take over the 4th position. I think Bernie must have had an off, because those two cars were not necessarily close to each other. And race control, 3-second time penalty for Sandro. Sandro now has actually made up a lot of time. He was 1 minute and 13 seconds behind the next closest car, which was SRL Sam. He's now 32 seconds behind. I don't think he's going to make up that much time in the next couple laps. Obviously, SRL Sam came in for a late pit stop, and that's probably what closed most of the gap. Whoa! And even though it's not a battle for position, we almost had a big mishap between the two Ferraris there. Sandro, I think at this point, is just trying to run and get the fastest lap. Oh, and KB gets a 3-second time penalty from race control, cutting corners. Don't think that'll affect his overall positioning at all. See, he's been way out in front all day. It looks like SRL Sam has just ran the fastest race lap at a 1:35.3. So Sandro and Sam are seemingly battling for fastest lap, not necessarily position. Whoa, and Sandro goes in deep. Oh, and he's going to lose the back end as he comes out of that corner, pushing a little hard to try and get that fastest lap. And that cost him a bunch of time. And we are down to the final lap, folks. We take a look back up front at at KB, who's led most of this race. Had a battle for position early on with Alexito Benet. Unfortunately, Benet could not hold him off. And KB has run away with this lead, just as he is the championship. And he will have a very comfortable points lead coming out of this race. Down through the back stretch for the final time and out of the hairpin. There you go, folks. KB, Killer Zone 22, is going to come across the line for the checkered flag. So KB is your winner. Alexito Benet is second. Dino Sta 02 will bring up the final podium position. Widowmaker gets my vote for driver of the day, bringing his Sauber Ferrari home fourth. Francis Jessica, who was the gnat that wouldn't go away, comes home fifth. Bernie Boy in the factory Renault coming home sixth. SRL Sam bringing his Haas Ferrari home in seventh. And Sandro, who had an uneventful day, bringing up the rear in eighth. Squad's Viper did not finish. Sander and his Williams had spun out earlier on. And Fast Coney did not finish this race as well, unfortunately. Right along with KB for his victory lap. We want to thank everybody for tuning in to this round 4 of the SRL League PS4 Formula 1 Championship 2017. And just remember, that's Sandro Racing League, not to be confused with any other SRL leagues out there. Be sure to check us out online on YouTube. And KB is your winner. McLaren, Red Bull, and a Ferrari all on the podium. There's your winner of the Round 4 run of this championship here at the Chinese Grand Prix. There's Eric Bouyer, race director for McLaren Honda. And you can see the multiple penalties that we had at the end of the race. KB did have 1 3-second penalty. Some other drivers had multiple others. You can see Dyno had a total of 8 seconds tacked onto their time, but again did not affect their podium finish. And you can see KB finished first, started first. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll see you at the next round in a couple weeks.